Evening. Good evening. My name is R. Lee Cook. I'm a writer, educator, man of faith, and most importantly, a citizen. A citizen of the United States of America. And I come before you this evening on the eve, really, of probably the most important election of my lifetime. The election scheduled for Tuesday, November 8th. And I come before you inspired by two people. One is the memory of this lady, my mother, Betty Cook Hines, who we just recently memorialized in Virginia at her funeral. And she was a great fan of Hilary Clinton. And the second inspiration is our First Lady, the incomparable Michelle Obama. And I think of both these special human beings, these special women who have been such a blessing to me, and of course, Michelle, to so many millions of Americans. And I think of both of them because this past week, Michelle had the occasion to visit and speak in my hometown of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And she came and spoke there to inspire our young people, our millennials especially, and our young black millennials in particular, to take this election on Tuesday to heart and come out enthusiastically to vote their support for our country, to vote their support for Hilary Rodham Clinton as our next president of the United States. And I think of her because my mother was also a great supporter of Hilary Clinton and wanted in 2008 to vote for Hilary Clinton, except for one problem, and that problem turned out to be Barack Hussein Obama, who came out of the blue and won our hearts, our affection, our support, our love, and our votes. And it was a fierce struggle within our family But at the end of the day, and I'm sure this might have happened in other families, we were persuaded, and persuaded correctly, to put our support for Hilary on the side and instead shift our support enthusiastically for Barack and Michelle Obama. And we did it also in 2012. And we are very grateful, all of us, that we did. And what's important now as we look at this upcoming election and the stark choices that we face, we need to remember very clearly that despite the campaign of 2008 and the campaign in which Hillary was favored overwhelmingly to win, but which Barack Obama was able to come from virtually nowhere and win and become the first black president of the United States, and Michelle Obama became the first lady of African American descent. And what a stellar job she has done and continues to do. And she said she was a friend of Hilary Clinton. And she talked about, Michelle did, the support of Bill and Chelsea Clinton to her and her family. But we also should remember very clearly that Hillary Clinton, despite the bitter campaign, the very competitive, protracted campaign, and I'm sure all of you remember, at a time when the Democratic Party could have split, it found a way to come together and unify around the candidacy of Barack Obama. And he went on to win the White House. And we must remember and recall and appreciate the graciousness, despite what must have been a very difficult experience and disappointment for Hillary Clinton, who could have been the first woman president of the United States. At that time, she believed, but it was not her moment in history. But she graciously rallied to the cause of our nation and the Democratic Party and of history, and supported enthusiastically Barack Obama and helped to make his presidency the great success that it has been. Make no mistake about it, her support and Bill Clinton's support were crucial, not only in 2008, but also in 2012, when the economy was struggling and Bill Clinton made some great comments at the Democratic Convention of 2012, which many felt made a big difference in terms of the way the first 4 years of the Obama administration was perceived broadly. Recently, on the way home from my mother's memorial service in Virginia, I spent wonderful 24 hours visiting my older brother. And what made it so special was not just merely the embrace of the family in a time of mourning and grief over the loss of our extraordinary mother, Betty. But it was one evening that I will always remember, when my niece came home from work, excited to be able to engage with me and the family about what was going on in the world. Aside from coming in the door after work, dressed as a young, impressive professional, all of 20 years old, and eager to discuss current events. And of course, there's been so much in the news for all of us to think about and discuss and agonize over in this past incredible year of the presidential and congressional election campaigns. But there was a troubling aspect to the conversation that we had. And I'm sure that many families, Black millennials and millennials in general, most of whom were most fired up and excited about supporting Bernie Sanders, the great senator from Vermont. And he ran a great campaign. And he ignited the fires that had kind of cooled after the second term of Barack Obama. And it was wonderful to see the rekindled flame, this flame that Senator Kennedy talked about when he said, the dream shall never die. And that's the dream of hope, the hope of America fulfilling its American dream, which it has been wrestling within its soul since its founding in 1776, since its Constitution in 1787, since its ratification, since through all of the decades, it has struggled and wrestled to fulfill its promise, this great promise of this great country, this great Constitution. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, all people are endowed with certain inalienable human rights by our Creator. And among these are life, pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. And we now are on the verge of coming closer to the fulfillment of this great dream than we have in our entire 2 centuries. And I wanted to encourage our millennials that all lives matter. Their lives matter. Black Lives Matter. And there has been in this campaign an effort to create false equivalencies. The imperfections of one candidate and some of the perception of those imperfections, those mistakes and errors of a 30-year career, fiercely fighting for and lifting up the disadvantage, the cause of the middle class, the cause of the disadvantaged in all categories of people, has been made into and distorted into a false equivalency with what has been generally described as one of the worst candidacies for president that this country has ever witnessed, in the candidacy of Donald Trump. This fraud, this tower of babbling, this man who is completely unfit, as Colin Powell and Hilary and so many others on the Republican side and on the Democratic and Independent side have so consistently and so profoundly said and insisted. And so it's important that neither candidate is perfect. That's not the issue. The issue is the false equivalency between the human frailties of two human beings. And of course, none of us, myself, you, my mother, any of us, and probably my son and grandson and yours and all of your loved ones, none of us are unflawed or without human frailty. But some, more than others, are damaged goods. Let me put it like that. And I think that it is very important, as I attempted to discuss respectfully with my beloved niece. B is how I will describe her, my beloved niece B. And I wanted to encourage her independence of thought, her research, her intelligence, and her determination to make a mark for herself in this world, because literally the sky is the limit for young women now and for people of color. My grandson, my son, yours, and your friends and your neighbors of all backgrounds and all categories. And that's the America that we have at this moment in history, at this moment when the tide of history is in the process of turning a corner that will not and cannot be reversed, which is one of the key reasons this election season is being so desperately fought, especially by the Trump supporters and advocates. That is why they have stooped to the lowest levels that we have probably witnessed in our history in this country. And this moment, as Michelle and President Obama have stated, it's at this moment democracy itself is on the line. At this moment, freedom, fairness, decency, civility is on the line. Not just the Obama legacy, but the American dream itself for tens of millions of people is on the line. And from the moment this character, Mr. Donald J. Trump, announced his candidacy in such a horrific manner, degrading and denigrating Hispanics, Mexicans, and he moved from there to virtually every category of human beings and categories of people in our country and in our world. And he's condemned himself with his own words. And so I say to my niece and to all of you, especially your millennial generation, this world is yours, this country is yours to inherit. And I hope and I pray as well that you will listen and be encouraged by some of us who have been a part of this struggle that you are now about to be handed the torch, this flame of this great American dream, to run the next segment of. And as the president has said, and as Michelle has said, it's not about being angry, it's not about being mad. Don't lose faith, don't lose hope. Keep the faith, keep hope alive. Defend the Obama legacy. What's wrong with having the first female president of America, finally? If it was good to have the first African American president, why isn't it good or as good to have the first female president? If it has been a source and will be forever a source of inspiration to young black boys and young black girls because of Obama, both the president and the first lady, then why is it not good for young women of all backgrounds to be inspired by seeing and witnessing the first female president? And who better, who among us all in this country, who's better qualified right now as a woman more than Hilary Clinton? And more importantly, still, who's more qualified at all more than Hilary Clinton? And the answer is clear and profound and simple. There is no one better, even close to being comparable. And so there is no false equivalency here. There is no comparable situation we are faced with here. And as the president has said, if you appreciate what he has done, if you appreciate his legacy, then vote, and vote for Hilary Clinton as President of the United States on Tuesday, November 8th, 2016. And not only you vote, but also take your friends, encourage your friends to vote, because this is our country. It's your country. It's my country. And you will be the inheritors. You will be carrying the torch. And you will be shaping the future and the destiny of this great land that we've been so blessed to be heirs to. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America and its people, and God bless the world.